how's it going? It's Stuart again at Cross Functional Fitness on Strength for Tomorrow Radio. Glad to be back. This is episode 53. Weren't here last week. Took a bit of a break. No real reason apart from just being super busy and didn't get a chance to put a program together. We've got some new equipment delivered, so I was building and installing that. What else? Just been super busy. A few new people have started recently, so we're just getting their programs up and running. And yeah, just a bunch of stuff happened to collide all in the 1 week, so we didn't get a show together last week. This week, we are going to discuss 8 ways that you waste your time in the gym. So you might think of a couple of ones off the top of your head already. There might be some here you might not have thought of. There might be some here that you might catch you by surprise, or you might wonder how they waste your time. So we'll delve into that in more detail. We've also got some news stories to round up on that we missed from last week. But yeah, let's get to it. So first of all, number 1. This is probably the way that I see most people waste their time in the gym, and this has been the case over 20 odd years or so that I've been going to gyms and training myself and just viewing what other people do. And I myself used to do them more often than not as well. I made this mistake, but doing isolation exercises. So doing isolation exercises in themselves is not a bad idea. It's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that if you are trying to make progress, and unless you're wanting to be a bodybuilder, or you've been training for a significant amount of time, or you're going to train for 4, 5 or 6 days a week, there's probably not much point in you doing isolation exercises. Now you might be wondering, what is an isolation exercise? Before we go any further, an isolation exercise is a movement or an exercise which you only use one muscle, or you only initiate one joint. So a good example comes to mind is a bicep curl, or a leg extension, or a calf raise, things like that, or tricep kicks. Something that you're just initiating one joint into a movement, and therefore one muscle, or one muscle group, I suppose you could call it. The reason I say that this is a waste of your time is because, as I said, unless you've been training for years and years and years, and you're trying to make any little gains where you can, or you're maybe you're just, say you're spending 2 or 3 days a week training in the gym. Maybe you got three sessions a week. That's all you got time for. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You'd be much better, in my opinion, spending your time doing compound movements instead of isolation movements. If you're spending your time wisely doing compound movements, you're going to be getting far more out of your gym time. Now, there is a reason that comes to mind as to why people like doing isolation exercises and why they choose to do them, and it is because they're easy. Plain and simple. They're relatively easy, they're relatively straightforward, they're not very technical, they're not very complicated, there's not much technique required with them, you can't really get injured with them. Those are some of the reasons I would say why people choose to do isolation exercises. So people will happily do bicep curls till the cows come home, but ask them to do a pull-up, nope, not going to happen. Ask them to do a deadlift, maybe not, won't be so keen. People will happily do like a leg extension or a leg curl on a machine. What about getting under the bar and doing a squat, do a barbell back squat? They're not going to be as keen. Now, that's not to say that there's some people will benefit from isolation exercises. What I'm saying is that unless you're training for 5 or 6 days a week, you're wanting to be a bodybuilder, you're maybe trying to overcome an injury or rehab a specific limb injury, you're trying to build up strength in one limb, or if you have been training for a long time and you're trying to improve any little way you can, so you're really gotten overall strength built up, and you're trying to add in sort of complementary exercises, those are the only reasons I would say that you should be doing isolation exercises. Now, I'm open to critique on that, I'm open to discussion on that, but it's one of the biggest ways that I would say that you're wasting your time in the gym. So forget isolation exercises until you are a few years, I would say, into your training, and then you can start thinking about them more. Number 2 of the 8 ways you waste your time at the gym is not having a plan. No plan to follow. Again, I've seen this over the years, and I've seen the people who make progress and the people who don't make progress. The people who make progress are the ones who have a plan and they stick to it. People who don't make any progress are the ones who just fart about. Essentially, that's what they're doing. They're just kidding themselves. They're going from either machine to machine, or they're just doing a wee bit of this, a wee bit of that, and then the next day just staggering about the next time and doing the same thing, or maybe including something else, but just kind of sticking to what they know, never really trying to learn something new, or never even asking for help, or just going in with a plan, even a bad plan. We'll talk about that later on, but not even. Sorry, I've given one away already. But not having any plan is a mistake, I would say, and it's where you can really waste your time at the gym. Let's be honest, we all have a limited amount of time we can spend on our fitness. We all have a limited amount of time in life. We all have 24 hours in a day, but you could spend that hour in the gym doing a really good program, a really effective program, or you could do it, you spend it just doing nothing effective, wasting your time and not seeing progress, getting frustrated and giving up. You look back and thinking you've wasted that money, you've wasted that gym membership, you've wasted that personal train. Well, not personal train. Hopefully your trainer has a plan for you, but wasted that time because you didn't have a plan. So rather than wasting your gym membership, I would suggest you get a plan. Find one online. Talk to a personal trainer. We're here if you need us. Shameless plug there, but seriously, get a plan together. You're not going to go anywhere good without a plan. So get a plan together and make the most of your time in the gym. You'll be rewarded for it. I promise you. If you follow a plan, you will be rewarded for it. The third way that I think people waste their time in the gym is social media. So social media wastes our time at the best of times, right? It wastes our time whenever we're doing nothing, whenever we get a bit bored, whenever we're waiting on somebody getting ready, when we're in the car, any waking moment, most of us flick on our Facebook or Instagram, or TikTok, whatever. Am I right? We all do it, right? We all waste time on it. Let's just admit it. Now, your gym time is so precious. Your gym time is time that is limited, as we said, and it's a time that it's you time. It's time that you get to spend with yourself in your own head, and you get to process things. You get rid of stress of the day and of the week, and it's a time I think you need to make an active effort to protect. That you need to really, really look after it and preserve it as best you can. So many people go to the gym with their phone, and whether it's they're videoing themselves for social media, not for themselves so they can do a form check, but for social media so they can put up a video of themselves saying they've been to the gym, or a selfie being like checking into the gym, which is fine. Like, I mean, I love it when people do that because it's great for promotional, isn't it, for the gym? But I think the problem lies in whenever you're getting distracted between sets. The next thing you're scrolling down Facebook, you're scrolling. I've caught myself doing this, and I think it's a terrible way to waste time. It's a way that you can, it can be better spent doing something else. Maybe you could be warming up your next exercise. Maybe you could be mobilizing or stretching, getting ready for whatever your next exercise is. Aside from anything else, aside from what it's doing to your brain activity and what it's going to affect your concentration for your next exercise, because Facebook, we all know the algorithm now. Maybe we don't all know, but the algorithm is wired in a way that it's going to play about your mind. So it's going to give you a story that is exciting, then you'll refresh it and it'll give you a story that's going to make you a bit annoyed. Then it's going to give you a story maybe that's going to make you go, oh, that's not lovely. Then it's going to give you another story that's going to make you want to take up arms and get really angry. And then it's going to give you another story that's really funny, that's hilarious, look at that. Then it's going to give you something really interesting. It's going to give you all these things. It knows which buttons of yours to press, and your brain's going to be all over the place. But aside from the mindset issue where it's putting you in before you go into your next set or before you continue with your workout, what about your posture? I've noticed my posture changes because if I'm sitting scrolling on my phone, suddenly my shoulders are rounded, suddenly my head's down. Next thing I go on the bench press, and my bench press isn't going so well because my posture has been so bad for like 5 minutes. I've been sitting hunched over, and if you add that up across a week, across an hour, and your hour session, it's going to have implications for your posture, and it's going to have implications as a knock-on effect to your lifts, to your squat, to your bench press, to your deadlift, to your overhead press, to all these things that are posture, are important for your posture. So social media, be aware of it. Put some sort of a lock on your phone if you even have to, or some sort of a device, some sort of an app that can manage your time on your phone. It can stop you accessing it, whether when you're in the gym or between certain hours, or it limits the amount of total time you have on your phone, or the time you have each time you access a social media app. So a couple of suggestions, but social media is definitely a way that we waste time in the gym. Am I right? Number 4, not resting long enough. And this goes for what I mean specifically by not resting long enough is between sets. So if you're doing a set of bench press, instead of resting 30 seconds and then going again, if your goal is to get stronger, that is a massive mistake. I can't stress enough, that is a huge mistake on your part, and you're wasting your gym time. You're wasting your gym membership, you're wasting your time at the gym, and you would, I'm not saying you'd be better off not going, but you could get so much more out of your gym time, so much more. And it's going to halt your progress, and it's probably going to put you off long term. You're going to get frustrated because you're going to hit a plateau and you're not going to be able to overcome it. Resting long enough is so important. You're better resting more than less. Now we're going to get on to a similar point on that next, but make sure you're resting long enough. How do you know how long to rest for? Well, whenever things start to get heavy, that lets you know. So say you do one set and you struggled maybe for the last rep. You struggled a lot. Like you struggled to the point where you weren't going to get it up. Then you want to make sure you're resting enough. Take a little bit longer. So time your rest. Okay, don't just think about don't just go on social media like we said earlier, but make sure you're timing your rest. Be really specific with that, and make sure you're getting enough rest between sets. If you try your next set and you maybe took an extra minute and it's a real struggle as well, then you'll know maybe you need even more rest. Maybe you need 4 minutes instead of 3 minutes. Maybe you need 5 minutes instead of 4 minutes. But 90 seconds, 1 minute, if you're trying to get stronger, isn't going to be enough for very long. If you're a complete novice, fair enough. You're still figuring out what your capabilities are. You're still trying to understand what your level is. So I can understand how you can get away with it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. But after a while, you're going to have to rest a lot more. Some of the strongest guys in the world, like they'll go out and they'll rest for 10, 20 minutes between sets. There was the old joke that powerlifters during COVID and lockdowns and stuff, that powerlifters just thought that was rest time between a set. They didn't actually realise the gyms were closed and that there was anything happening in the world. They just thought it was a rest period. I know it's hilarious, isn't it? Really funny joke that. Thanks for laughing. So make sure you're resting enough, or else you're going to be wasting your time in the gym. You're not going to be making progress, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to quit. I've seen it happen. I see it happen all the time. Number 5, resting too much. So on the flip side, if you are going on your phone, like we said earlier, on social media or whatever you happen to be doing, or you're just chatting to your friends and you're taking far too long between sets, that's equally a problem, as well as not resting long enough. So just, you can go home and rest. Keep your session intense. Now, I know that might sound contradictory compared to what I just told you about point number 4, about not resting long enough, but you need to make sure that your rest is focused and that it is intentional and that you're timing it, and you're not just wasting your time in between sets going on your phone or going and chatting to people, or just, I don't know, staggering about or in a bit of a daydream, whatever it is. Try and make the use of your rest periods in between. You could do some stretching, you could read a book, you could do something, but set a timer. Make sure you're not resting too long. As I said, do your own side of caution. Try and rest more if you're trying to get stronger than too little. But it depends on your goal really as well. I should point that out. It depends on your goal. If your goal is to keep your heart rate up the whole time, then you want to make sure that your rest period is pretty short and it's to the point and it's not dragging on too much and your heart rate's going down and you're getting cold. So that's another really important one. Resting too much. Make sure you're not resting too much. And number 6 is following a bad plan. So we said earlier at point number 2, not having any plan is not a good idea. It's a way you can waste your time at the gym, but also just following a bad plan is another obvious way that you can waste your time at the gym. For example, if you've grabbed a workout out of Men's Health or Women's Health, or you're following some Instagram influencer or TikToker, and you're doing the workout that they're doing, or you're doing the workout that they're telling you to do. First of all, They don't know you, they don't know your background, they don't know your injury history, they don't know what your specific goals are, they don't know your strengths or weaknesses, they don't know how experienced you are, they don't know what it is you need to work on. So, for example, some people might need to work more on their strength initially. To be honest with you, that's most people. Other people might need to work more on their muscle endurance. Other people might need to work more just on being able to do some HIIT training, getting recovery, and so you're like elevating your heart rate and then dropping it back down again. Other people might just need to work more on legs. Other people might need to work more on upper body. Whatever. The point is, if you're following a plan that's not very well structured, not very well thought out, then you're going to be wasting your time, aren't you? You're not going to be making the best use of your time and getting the most out of your gym sessions. Sometimes you see people kind of going to the gym and they'll be following like a bodybuilder's plan. So they'll be doing like all of these bodybuilding type movements, I would call them. So a lot of isolation exercises, a lot of things that you really shouldn't be doing unless you literally have nothing else to be doing with your time. If you're hitting, like I said earlier, hitting the gym 6 days a week, doing things like tricep kicks and flies and all these kind of isolation movements that are they're not bad exercises by any means, but it's just that they're not the best use of your time. So therefore, they're wasting your time. You've only got so much time, like we said, so you need to make the most of it. You need to get the most out of it. So don't follow a bad plan. Get a good plan. If you need help with that and you live in the Newry and Mourne area, give us a shout. We'd love to help you put a plan in place. We also offer online training. Just thought I'd throw in a shameless plug because, well, why not? I'm doing this podcast out of the goodness of my heart, so why not try and help you and get a few more clients at the same time. Number 7, not executing an effective range of motion. So what does that mean? That basically means you're doing really good quality exercises, good quality, maybe it's a good program, maybe you've got a plan, but instead of doing full squats, so you're getting down like to a full effective range of motion, which I would say is hips below knees, hip crease below knee, you're doing the quarter squats or half squats, and there's no physical reason that you can't go deeper. It's not that you've got lack of mobility, it's not that you have some sort of knee issue that's causing pain when you go deeper or back issue, it's just that you can't be bothered, right? So that's another way you can waste your time in the gym, is not executing upon an effective range of motion. It's a bit like doing a curl. Like if you want to go back to isolation exercises, doing a curl and instead of going all the way up or going all the way down, you're just keeping it in like a partial range. That's wasting your time as far as I'm concerned, because you can be working your muscle more rigorously in the same amount of time it takes you to do that half rep. I know there's all sorts of fancy training protocols that require you to do partial rep movements, but for most people they are a waste of time, and most people don't do them intentionally. Most people just do them because they can't be bothered going to full depth in a squat, or standing all the way up at the top on a deadlift, or going all the way down when you're doing pull-ups, overhead pressing, not letting the bar come all the way down again, not locking out the top. There's all sorts of ways that you can shave your reps and therefore make them less effective. So don't do that, okay? My advice is don't do that. Make sure you're getting the most out of every exercise. You'll get more out of performing a full range of motion. So getting down nice and deep for your squats, so getting your hip crease below your knee height, getting down below parallel, you get more out of that. It'll feel like adding an extra 10-20% than if you're shaving off like a few inches from your squat. So make sure you're adding that range of motion before you start adding those loads of weight, because what happens is you start to get higher and higher and higher, and before you know it, you're just doing a wee dance. You're not even doing a squat, you're just doing like a wee hip dance thing. So make sure you're doing an effective range of motion. Number 8, this one used to drive me mad. Whenever I used to study and live up in Coleraine, Portstewart, I used to go to a gym up there. It was Fitness First at the time, I think I mentioned before, but it used to drive me mad waiting for equipment to become free. That is one of the biggest ways that you can waste your time at the gym. I remember I used to go in at 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night, and the gym just started to empty out then, because that was the final hour. That was the final hour before the close at 10 o'clock. So it was a great time to go in, because you got make sure you got like squat racks free, dumbbells free, benches free, all that stuff. And do you ever notice in most gyms when you go into them, there's about 50 treadmills, there's about 50 cross trainers, there's about 20 or 40 rowers, there's about 30 or 40, 50 bikes, and then they've got about 3 squat racks. Do you ever notice that? There's not very many gyms that I've come across that have more weight training equipment than cardio equipment. The ratios, it's really, really strange, really bizarre, and it's really frustrating, especially because we know how effective weight training is. Yes, I know it takes up more room for a squat rack and plates, and it's more expense than a rower, but it's really frustrating, isn't it? If you're a paying customer, if you're a paying member, and you have to wait around, it just takes the intensity out of your workout. It's awkward, socially awkward. You have to stand around and don't make eye contact, but try and glance over as you finish it, and then maybe you pluck up the courage and go over and ask someone if they're finished, and then this person kind of looks at you as if you got 2 heads. It's just awful, right? It's just awful. So waiting for equipment to become free is such an awful way to waste your time. So what do I suggest? I suggest that you go to a gym where they have plenty of equipment for you. First of all, I suggest that you go at a time that you will be able to know that you're going to have equipment free. Maybe you could even give us a call, because we've got open gym membership here at Cross Functional Fitness in Warrenpoint, where you can go in yourself outside of training and PT hours, and from 5 a.m. till 11 p.m. you can go in and train yourself. There's always going to be equipment, there's always going to be barbells, there's always going to be squat racks available, and you're going to be able to get a workout done. And we actually do have a better ratio of weights and weight stations to cardio equipment, so we've got that going for us. But if you don't live in the area, I know, I guess you should maybe move this way, I don't know, but it's so frustrating, isn't it? I guess you could buddy up with somebody, you could pluck up the courage and ask somebody if they mind you jumping in with them, and when they're resting you could be working, and vice versa. Make the use of the time, because nobody likes waiting about, and I'm sure they understand your frustration as well, but waiting for equipment to become free is so awkward. So that's it. That is the end of our 8 ways you waste time at the gym list. What do you think? Have I left any out? Are there any that you think should be included that weren't there? Are there any that are a bit harsh or a bit pointless? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I suppose another way you could waste time is that you spend so long with your music selection or your playlist, messing about with it. But again, I suppose that goes back to like social media / your phone. You can waste lots of time on that. But yeah, let me know if you have any other suggestions of ways that people waste time at the gym. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully that you'll be able to tick all of these off and stop wasting your time at the gym. Get the most out of it. Get out of there. Get home. Get recovered. Okay, it's news of the week time, and our first story, this one is actually from the 18th of June. It was updated on the 18th of June. It was initially out on the 16th of June, so it's an interesting one. It's titled, "Expert Shares What Diet Coke Does to Your Body Just 1 hour After Drinking Can." The effects of drinking a can of Diet Coke can be seen in just 1 hour. So this is in the Daily Record. A pharmacist is warned of the negative. So that's your expert. I love how they title it expert, and then it's like pharmacist, because expert sounds like it's some really niche area. And that's not to say a pharmacist isn't a very talented and intelligent individual, but I don't think it would catch as many eyeballs if they said pharmacist shares what Diet Coke does to your body. So a pharmacist is warned of the negative effects of drinking a can of Diet Coke could have on the body after just 1 hour. Like most foods and drinks, Diet Coke poses very little health risk when drunk in moderation. However, past studies have shown that drinking beverages with artificial sweeteners like Diet Coke can contribute to weight gain. Further research shows that drinks containing fake sugars can affect more than just weight. A study published in the journal Current Atherosclerosis Reports also warns that such drinks could be contributing to the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. The effects of drinking a can of Diet Coke can apparently be seen in just 1 hour, with an impact seen 10, 20, 40 and 60 minutes after finishing the last sip. Qualified pharmacist Niraj Naik, I apologise if I've got your name pronounced wrong there, do apologise, best known as the Renegade Pharmacist, apparently they're best known as this. I've never heard of it. Maybe you have. Went viral back in 2015 with an infographic about how Diet Coke affects a person within the first post-drink hour and says tooth enamel is attacked within just 10 minutes. Nike said phosphoric acid attacks the enamel in your teeth, while the artificial sweeteners like aspartame hit your system. Aspartame will trigger taste receptors and trick your body into thinking it has just processed sugar. It's all very interesting, isn't it? 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, Nike says the drinker's body switches to its fat storage mode, citing studies from the Nurses' Health Study that connect such beverages to a higher risk of high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes. According to Nike, like regular Coke, this can trigger insulin, which sends your body into fat storage mode. Now, before we go any further, your body will only store fat or not burn fat if you're not in a calorie deficit. So if you're a calorie deficit cannot be overstated as to how important that is if you're trying to lose weight. If you're trying to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, okay? I don't care if you drink full fat Coke or full sugar Coke or Diet Coke or Coke Zero or whatever, Dr. Pepper, don't care. Calorie deficit is the overarching principle. Within that, then, yes, things like insulin sensitivity can become an issue. Just want to point that out before we go any further. After 40 minutes, Nike claims the caffeine and aspartame combination results in a short-term high in a comparable way to a class A drug, cocaine. There you are. It's not called Coke for nothing, eh? Is it true? I'm just throwing this out here. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just asking, did there used to be cocaine in Coke? Because I was told that when I was younger, and I don't know if it's true or not. And I'm already into this podcast, so I can't be bothered Googling it. I'd love to know. Remind me. Ask me about it, because I'm going to Google it after this. I probably won't actually. I'll probably forget. If drunk regularly, Nike claims that excitotoxins released could lead your brain becoming exhausted and overstimulated. He explained the potentially deadly combination of caffeine and aspartame creates a short addictive high similar to the way cocaine works. Excitotoxins are released which may exhaust your brain by overstimulating its neuroreceptors, especially if consumed on a regular basis. 60 minutes after 1 hour has passed, Nike says the drinker will be left more hungry and thirsty than they were previously and more likely to reach for sugary junk food. He continued, unlike the small amount of satisfaction you get from regular Coke, your body may still crave sweets. This makes you likely to reach for another soda, or worse, some other, so American, isn't that, soda? Or worse, some other junk food you consider to be safe, and the cycle continues. Some other junk food you consider to be safe, and the cycle continues. Yeah, so I suppose you could, you could think, oh, I'll just have a Diet Coke instead of a full sugar Coke, which is 0 calories, right? But if it actually leads you to overdoing your total calories, then maybe you would be better going for the full sugar Coke. Does that make sense? A can of Diet Coke provides no nourishment and would replace a more nutritious drink you could have drunk while potentially depleting your body of essential minerals. It will never quench your thirst as it dehydrates rather than hydrates your body. A lack of vital water can lead to brain fog, poor concentration, fatigue, and feeling irritable. The Daily Record has contacted the Coca-Cola company for comment. Funnily enough, they haven't said anything. Funny that, right? So this is a debate that's probably been raging for years. As you can see, they've dragged up this news story. It must have been a slow news week, but this is the thing from 2015. I think they said he had a viral infographic from 2015. This renegade, is it Renegade Pharmacist or something they're called? Yeah, Renegade Pharmacist. So it's an interesting one, and it goes back to the principle of what we said before. If it's leading you to overeating total calories and you're trying to lose weight or get slimmer, reduce your waist size, whatever way you want to term it, if you're not in a calorie deficit, it's not going to happen. Okay, and it doesn't matter what drink you choose. It doesn't matter whether it's milk or Coke. It doesn't matter. But if you're drinking Diet Coke or Coke Zero or whatever, and you are then caused to overeat or still keep drinking more, maybe more sugary or more calorific things afterwards, and it sends you over your net calorie spend, guess what? You're going to put on weight and you're certainly not going to lose weight. So it's not that Diet Coke causes weight gain, it's that it can contribute to it in a way because it causes you to overeat in other areas. Hopefully that makes sense. Interesting news article. Thought I would share it with you to try and clear up what it means. Don't know if you saw it or not, but yeah, that I would suggest drink water when and where you can. Drink more water. Just replace your diet sodas if you want to Americanize it with water. You can't go wrong with water. 0 calories. Come on. Got a couple more news stories to get through. This next one, right? This is from the 19th of June, and it's on 247tempo.com, and it's titled, I don't know how this came up. I think it came up in like a Google, like random Google feed, but it said, I had to click into it because it just sounded so crazy. Most toxic fitness activities. I kid you not. Most toxic fitness activities. What does that even mean? We're going to find out. We're going to find out what it means. Right, here we go. There is no shortage of exercise options for Americans to get in shape, gain muscle mass, lose weight, or learn how to protect themselves. Unfortunately, those working out can be subjected to harassment and abuse. To determine the most toxic exercise communities, so I'm thinking they're saying it's the communities, it's not the types of exercise themselves that are toxic, but the people who are involved in them. Bit judgmental, but okay. To determine the most toxic exercise communities, 24/7 Tempo reviewed the report Most Negative Fitness Communities from fitness review site FitRated. I've never heard of that site, but okay. So the report analysed over 2 million comments posted on 16 different Reddit communities. Okay, well there's your first problem. If you're going into Reddit and looking for some form of humanity, you're probably in the wrong place. So the report analysed over 2 million comments posted on 16 different Reddit communities centred around certain fitness disciplines in 2021, as well as surveyed 1,000 active respondents who reported exercising at least once a week. Exercise communities were ranked on the percentage of comments with negative sentiment. According to FitRated's report of the 16 different Reddit communities on the list, martial arts is the community with the highest percentage of posts with negative sentiment at more than 66%. The next is powerlifting with 63% of negative posts and bodybuilding at 61%. About 1 in 40 posts / comments on online fitness forums contain profanity. Yeah, that's not surprising. It's everywhere, isn't it? Like people just swear as part of their daily language today. It's not like the 1960s whenever not very many people swore. It's everywhere now. The exercise community with the highest percentage of posts containing vulgarity is bodybuilding, followed by martial arts and strength training. Bodybuilding 5.8%, martial arts 4%, and strength training 3.9%. I wonder what their classification of vulgarity is. I mean, what words do you think they're throwing in there? That would be interesting to know, right? I mean, is it really mild things, or is it like a bit more strong than that? Besides online toxic behaviour, some of the abuse takes place in the exercise area, with 54% of those surveyed saying they experience harassment at least somewhat often while exercising. Martial arts respondents cited the most harassment at more than 79%. CrossFit and powerlifting were next at more than 78%. I find it hard to believe how any CrossFit boxes I've been to, it's been incredibly supportive. Unless people took the support the wrong way, I thought people were trolling them, like taking the mick out of them. Oh, go on, you can do it. They're actually just like taking the piss out of them. I don't know. Was that profanity? Is piss a profane word? I don't know. Is it vulgar? Who knows? Maybe according to this FitRated report, it is. According to the FitRated report, the majority of both men and women claim they were harassed by those of the same gender. However, women were more than 3 times more likely than men to have been harassed by other genders. Right. Women also were more likely to say this harassment negatively. I think that must be a typo there. Other genders. By the other gender. Women were also more likely to say this harassment negatively affected their exercise routine and to have stronger feelings about a supportive fitness community. Disciplines such as Pilates, yoga, and flexibility that emphasize a positive mindset and seek to relieve stress scored lower among the most toxic exercise communities. Well, it doesn't look good, does it? I mean, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good if you're like swearing at each other and you're trying to stay relaxed in yoga or something. It's not really conducive to a relaxed and stress-free mindset, is it? If like there's Barney over in the corner there effing you off. But yeah, what a funny little news snippet, right? Would you have thought powerlifting and CrossFit and stuff for like people are open? Like I think it's a bit of banter a lot of the time. There's a lot of banter in CrossFit and powerlifting communities. I'm familiar with some of those people. Like it's just part and parcel of the game. It's a bit of crack, but there's nothing ever. I've never certainly heard of it in like a hateful or toxic way as they're describing it. What do you think? Are you involved in those in powerlifting or CrossFit or strength training or martial arts? Do you think it's a toxic sport? Let me know. I'd love to know. And we're on to our last story here, and this one is from The Independent from the 20th of June. Scientists identify molecule that could help drugs replace workouts. Yay! Looks like I'm going to retire early. Brilliant. Yeah, I can't see there being any side effects from that, is there? Like, I mean, no possibility of side effects from that. Findings in mice shed more light on physiological processes involved in exercise and hunger. Scientists have identified a molecule in mice that they say reduces food intake and obesity, and advanced that may one day provide some of the benefits of exercise in the form of a pill. In the research, scientists, including those from Baylor College of Medicine in the US, conducted comprehensive analysis of blood plasma compounds from mice following intense treadmill running. Like the poor wee mice in the treadmill. Do you ever think of them like run like a mouse treadmill? Where do you even get a mouse treadmill? Like are they on eBay? AliExpress? Where would you get one? Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. The study, published in the journal Nature last week, found that a modified amino acid called LAC-Phe, I think that's how it's pronounced. I've never heard of it before, to be brutally honest. It's spelled LAC-PHE. I'm going to call it LAC-Phe for the benefit of the rest of this segment. LAC-Phe was the most significantly induced molecule in mice following the exercise. Regular exercise has been proven to help weight loss, reduce appetite, and improve the metabolic profile, especially for people who are obese and overweight. Yang Zhu, a study co-author and professor of pediatrics, nutrition, and molecular and cellular biology at Baylor, said in a statement. Yang Zhu, I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, really am, but send your complaints in. If we can understand the mechanism by which exercise triggers these benefits, then we are closer to helping many people improve their health, Dr. Zhu said. The LAC-Phe molecule, scientists say, is synthesized from lactate, a byproduct of strenuous exercise that is responsible for the burning sensation in muscles, as well as the amino acid phenylalanine. I'm really bad at pronouncing words, but again, that's a handful. Like, I challenge you to try and pronounce that one. A building block of protein. Researchers found that in mice with diet-induced obesity, a high dose of LAC-Phe suppressed food intake by about 50% compared to control mice over a period of 12 hours without affecting their movement or energy expenditure. When LAC-Phe was administered to the mice for 10 days, they say the molecule reduced cumulative food intake and body weight with loss of body fat and improved glucose tolerance. The study also identified an enzyme called CNDP2 involved in the production of LAC-Phe. It found that mice lacking this enzyme did not lose as much weight on an exercise regimen as a control group on the same exercise plan. Scientists also found robust elevations in plasma LAC-Phe levels following physical activity in racehorses and humans. Sprint exercise, according to the researchers, will induce the most dramatic increase in plasma LAC-Phe, followed by resistance training and then endurance training. This suggests that LAC-Phe is an ancient and conserved system that regulates feeding and is associated with physical activity in many animal species, study co-author Jonathan Long said in a statement. I don't know if it does suggest that, to be honest with you, Jonathan, but thanks for your 2 cents there. In further research, scientists hope to understand more details about how LAC-Phe mediates its effects in the body, including the brain. For example, older and frail people who cannot exercise enough may one day benefit from taking a medication that can help slow down osteoporosis, heart disease, or other conditions, Dr. Long explained. Our goal is to learn to modulate this exercise pathway for therapeutic interventions, Dr. Zhu added. Sorry, I coughed there. Hopefully that didn't come across too much. Here, how come they're calling Dr. Zhu at the bottom? It's XU. How do you pronounce that? I don't even know. Dr. Zhu they're giving him doctor down here at the very bottom, and they didn't give him doctor on up above. What's going on? Don't know about that. Right, so where do we start with this? Um, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. Like, we know exercise, the benefits of exercise. We know how useful it is. We know that it impacts every cell in your body. We know it can help counteract lots and lots and lots of pretty much every chronic disease there is out there. It can help reduce the effects of or prevent. Yet we want to put it in a pill form. We want to spend millions and billions and trillions of dollars and pounds in figuring out how to not have to exercise, even though we know it benefits us. We still won't do it. How can we put it in a pill form? Isn't it the insanity of it? The insanity of it is crazy. But yeah, what is going on? So it's interesting here that Dr. Long finished off by saying, for example, older or frail people who cannot exercise enough. Like, what is enough? What is enough? For older or frail people who cannot exercise enough may one day benefit from taking a medication that can help slow down osteoporosis, heart disease, or other conditions. For a start, you slow down osteoporosis. Okay, there's many aspects to it, and there's some things available already. Some drugs that are available to help with that. But we know strength training does that already. What is strength training? Strength training is relative to you. Strength training will look different for me than what it will look like for a grandparent. It'll look for someone who's in their 80s. They're not going to be squatting what I'm squatting. Heavy is not heavy. Heavy for me is not heavy for them. Heavy for them is not heavy for me, and vice versa. And the reason that we can help slow down, and in some cases there's a growing body of anecdotal evidence that strength training, when it's done properly, can reverse osteoporosis. And that's something to keep an eye on. I think there'll be studies coming out in the next few years which will confirm this, which will give greater weight to this theory. But the reason that osteoporosis can be slowed down or in some cases reversed is because of the weight, because of the stress that it produces, because you bear a load, because if you put a bar on your back and you squat with it, your bones will react to that, your connective tissue will react to that, your muscles, your tendons, and your ligaments. There are so many processes within your body that will benefit from that. And as you add more and more weight every single session, you add a little bit more weight, your body adapts. Your body has an incredible ability to adapt. That's how you slow down osteoporosis. So if saying someone who cannot exercise enough, what is enough? Get them to start somewhere. Start a little bit. Start squatting your own body weight. Hold on to something and squat. Use your arms to help you squat. Saying older or frail people aren't going to get stronger. Frail people aren't going to not become frail people. They're going to stop being frail people unless they do something about it. You can't just pop a pill and get that. Now, I get that people want to make fat loss and weight loss and things like that as easy as possible, because it isn't easy. It's a simple process, but it's not easy. There's a lot psychologically that goes on with it. But I mean, I was chatting to a client recently about this story, and he was saying that back when he was growing up, he's in his 60s, he was saying that his dad told him that, you'd be eating your meals through a pill. Funnily enough, it hasn't come to that yet, thankfully, but we're not far away, maybe, the way they're talking these days. But it's I just thought that was an interesting sentence. For example, older or frail people who cannot exercise enough. Like, what is enough? Enough for me is going to be more than someone who hasn't exercised before. Enough for someone who trains 3 or 4 days a week is going to be far too much for somebody else. But someone who's just literally getting off the seat or the sofa and starting to exercise, it's not going to take very much for them to get started, but they can improve and build upon that. I think it does us a disservice as humans, as men and women. I think it does it as a disservice to just try and make things as easy as possible. There's a benefit that comes from strife and hardship. There's a benefit, an intangible benefit that comes from it. It's not just about building muscle or changing your body shape or losing weight around your waist. There's a mental development that comes with it and comes from it. and popping a pill is not going to give you that. You're getting something for nothing, essentially, and it's not going to work. There's going to be all sorts of implications from that, the law of unintended consequences and all of that. But it's just nuts, isn't it? And the title of it just makes your head explode. Scientists identify molecule that could help drugs replace workouts. So maybe I'm just saying all this because I think I'm gonna have to retire now and shut the gym. Maybe could be wrong, but yeah, what a crazy story. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think we can shut the gyms and just pop pills? We'll all invest in pharmaceutical companies and take pills instead. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know. Okay, it's joke of the week time. Hopefully you haven't heard this one before. But did you know that the people of Dubai don't like the Flintstones? But the people of Abu Dhabi do. Alright, that is the end of the show for this week. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time listening, thank you so much for listening and for making it this far. If you have any complaints about jokes that were shared or anything else, do send them in. If you have any comments, questions, we can answer them on the upcoming shows. Send them in to info@crossfunctionalfitness.co.uk and I would love to help you out. And yeah, we have some space in our large group classes at the moment. If anybody in the area would love to get started and get stuck in for the summer. Now the kids are off school, great chance to get in shape. And we also have some space in our semi-private training sessions as well. If you want to get involved in those, if you need some help getting fitter, getting slimmer, do give us a call. In the meantime, have a great weekend and don't forget to train today so you can be stronger tomorrow.